Today on Off the Dock Adventures, we explore magnificent Georgian Bay in northern Ontario. We take a sailing trip into the past on the HMS Tecumseh at Discovery Harbor. And we check out the air chair at Cypress Gardens in Florida. So stick around, there's a lot more to come.
Off the Dock Adventures on TSN is sponsored in part by Honda 4-Stroke Outboards, we understand. The Canadian Coast Guard, take a boating safety course, get your card. It's about safety, it's the law. And Honda 4-Trax ATVs, get out there.
Georgian Bay, one of the big misconceptions of Georgian Bay is that it's small because it's a bay, but it's actually a very large body of water, a very diverse body of water. You have a lot of open water areas, you know, where you get a lot of diverse traffic, usually larger vessels, as well as you have the inshore waterways that run up the coast of Georgian Bay, the east and the north coast of Georgian Bay.
Georgian Bay, located at the eastern end of Lake Huron in Ontario, is a summer paradise for boaters. Georgian Bay, originally called Lake Manitoulin, formed part of the old voyageurs trading route from Montreal to the northwest. The bay, later renamed after King George IV, became a tourist mecca starting as early as the mid-1800s. The Canadian Shield plays an important role in Georgian Bay's topography. With its rugged shoreline and areas of exposed Precambrian rock, Georgian Bay lends itself to a wide variety of boating experiences.
Well, the most prominent feature in Georgian Bay is the Canadian Shield and how it's dotted with rocks throughout, and it provides a safe haven for a lot of kayakers, canoeists, cottagers, various sized vessels that can run the inshore waterway, which is a very pleasant experience. Also, you have a lot of open water that you can, large sailboats, large yachts. We get a lot of Americans up through the area, a lot of transient boaters. They come up just for the scenery. It's very nice because it's very remote in places, but at the same point in time, you can go into ports and have you know, all the amenities of home in hotels or inns, cottages, that sort of thing.
Georgian Bay is perhaps best known for its 30,000 islands, one of the largest concentrations of islands in the world. But no matter where you explore, Georgian Bay is spectacular.
It's a beautiful area, well known through the paintings of the Group of Seven, people like Tom Thompson, who did a lot of painting in this area.
Georgian Bay has attracted various artists throughout the years, and photographer Peter Merrick specializes in capturing the wild beauty of this area.
Georgian Bay has a really incredible variety of landscape, very rugged, picturesque. No two spots are the same. The colors of the rocks change, the trees, you know, they're tormented by the wind, they're bent over. It's a really, really interesting area to photograph. The photographs we take here are enjoyed mostly by people who live in this area or who come here for vacations. Interestingly enough, a lot of people from all over the world will purchase them because it is such a unique area, and you know, the landscape just doesn't exist anywhere else. This area is made for photography. You can take pictures of it anywhere you go, any time of day. Generally we prefer the early day part of the day and the evening. You get beautiful colors and contours because the light is low, but anybody from amateur to professional can get great shots up here.
Before people come out to boat on Georgian Bay, they need to stop by any marina and pick up local and current charts. We strongly recommend charts, not road maps, as we have come across people that are navigating with road maps and it just doesn't work. Georgian Bay is a great place to come and visit. It's a boater's paradise. The waterways will take you into a variety of fun and interesting places. If you have any problems or questions, make sure you ask the locals because they'll point you in the right direction.
Backwater Bill, brought to you by Shell Nautilus, environmentally considerate marine oils and cleaners.
When you're out in the water, you may encounter a crime of nature. This may include fish and wildlife violations, major littering, or habitat destruction through dredging and filling. You can get involved, record pertinent information, and report it as quickly as possible to Crime Stoppers or your local Natural Resources office. We all have an obligation to protect the great outdoors.
Honey Harbor, located on the southeast shore, is a popular point of departure for people wanting to explore Georgian Bay. Honey Harbor is a typical tourist community, providing all the services and amenities boaters could possibly need, and its central location allows visitors to make a wide variety of day trips to the surrounding areas. The area caters to boaters from all walks of life, whether you're looking for a leisurely kayaking or canoeing experience, sailing on the open waters of the bay, or powerboating to and from your chosen destination.
When boating on Georgian Bay, it's important that people have basic navigation skills, that when they're in the channels there can be a lot of heavy traffic, and it's important to understand right of way. It's also very important to stay within the channels, as outside of the channels there can lie some very treacherous rocks. When docking in unfamiliar territory, it's important that you have a spotter on the front of the vessel to sort of look out for those rocks.
Georgian Bay Islands National Park is one of the most popular attractions in the area. The park, established in 1929, consists of 59 islands, accessible only by watercraft. For more ambitious boaters, heading to the open waters of Georgian Bay can be quite an experience. Sailing enthusiasts from around the world make pilgrimages each year to challenge the unpredictable nature of this inland sea, like the tall ships did hundreds of years ago.
Discovery Harbour is one of the premier tourist attractions in Ontario. Located on beautiful Penetanguishene Bay, we are the backdrop for an historic site. This historic site is the naval and military establishments dating back to the War of 1812. Now, upon this background, we also have many things that people can do. For one, you can take a guided tour of the historic site or a self-walking tour, enter some of the historic and replica buildings, and get a feel for what it was like in the early 19th century here in Upper Canada. And finally, from my point of view, being first mate aboard HMS Tecumseh, you can come and do some historic sailing aboard HMS Tecumseh, become part of our crew, and actually come and work the boat for 2.5 to 3 hours. And it's bloody good fun. HMS Tecumseh is a replica of a vessel that was stationed here in Penetanguishene in the early 19th century. But we are essentially a modern ship made to look about 175 years old. She is about 125 feet overall. She weighs in about 130 tons, and her masts are about 95 feet off the water. We fly 8 sails, and it's a truly great experience to come on out. And how many people are going to be able to come out and sail a tall ship? We are a sail training vessel. We're not a passenger vessel, we're a sail training vessel. Thereby we take up to 45 visiting crew on board for an afternoon or evening of sailing. And you come on board and you're a part of our crew. And we require some of the crew to get their backs right into it to help us get up the massive sails that catch the wind, that make us go. And others simply may wish to take the wheel and so on. So we have something for everybody. It's a really great experience, and how many people are going to get the chance to come out and actually sail an historic ship? And you can do that here at Discovery Harbour in Penetanguishene.
To Hull and Back, brought to you by Crates Marine of Keswick, Ontario.
The team at Crates began by removing all the mechanics and engine controls. Then they removed the original hardware. It's high-quality stuff and will definitely be reused after it's repaired and straightened. This part always seems tedious, but it's the only way to get a top-notch professional job. The old console has been unfastened and is lifted out to determine the extent of the damage. The ravages of 30 years in the sun and weather have taken their toll. With the severe deterioration, it's decided that it would be more cost-efficient to start from new, and some design improvements can also be implemented. The new bench and console were made to the same general size and style of the original, with design changes to allow water to drain off flat surfaces. This entire unit is made from marine mahogany plywood. The fine craftsman on this job made sure it was as smooth as silk. That looks better. Greg is proud of his contribution of a new plexiglass windshield, but we want to have the original style wood frame back. He'll get over it. The old instruments look pretty shabby on the new wood. This is the excuse we need to go and get that new Honda 4-stroke outboard, and it uses much less fuel.
The Coast Guard Minute.
Communication is an important aspect of safe boating. Before heading out onto the water, ensure that others know where you're going, how many are on your vessel, and when you plan to return. While out on the water, you may need a communication device for assistance or distress. It can be as simple as a whistle, a horn, or perhaps even just a mirror to reflect the light and catch attention. You can go as high-tech as a cellular phone or a VHF marine radio. The advantage of the VHF marine radio is that it puts you in touch with the boating community while you're out on the water. Another great option is the cell phone. Star 16 puts you in touch with Canadian Coast Guard radio station. So before heading out on the water, ensure that you know where everything is and that it's in working order.
This is the air chair. It was produced by Mike Murphy and Bob Woolley back in the 80s. To have a lot of fun on the water because the waters were getting rough, choppy, a lot of boating action on the water. So they developed this to go out there and go above the water. It's a feeling of flight, freedom, going out on the water and having the best time you ever had. That's what air chairing is all about. That's why I do it, and that's exactly why a lot of other people in this country and other countries in the world are doing it today. This particular towable is very safe. I believe it's probably one of the safest towables out there because you're strapped into the board, so there's really no chance of you being hit in the head or any of those things, those phobias people have of any kind of thing like this. The foil is way down below, and when you're strapped into the board, there's no possible chance of you getting hurt by the board itself. If you took an airplane and scaled it down to probably about 20th of the size and put it underwater, you have about the same principle. If you lean back, it's the same thing as adjusting the yoke and pulling up. It'll go like that. If you lean forward, you push down on the yoke on an airplane, it's the same principle. You go down. Your weight is basically what controls the up and down, and also your body position is what controls your side-to-side motion. People have their best rides when on their second or third. That's when it's the most fun. It's so new and they're just starting to get it. You know, it's like when you hit that first long drive golfing, you're like, wow, that was cool. And you get up on the foil and you start riding it around for the first time. When you really get it, that is the best feeling that you can have. You can go 20 feet in the air. You can go anywhere from 20, 15, 30 miles an hour on it. It's a lot of fun because it's something that nobody really has seen a whole lot of. So when you go out and ride, everybody's looking at you, and you know, you have that egotistic thing. Not to say that it's a bad thing, but some people like to be watched. So if you get into that, it's a lot of fun to go out and wow the crowd and make them feel good by showing them something they've never seen before. If somebody put the time and effort into this, they would be able to go any level they wanted to. I have the philosophy that anything you do in life, if you put your soul and your heart into it, you'll do it, and you'll do it to whatever level you want to be. But of course, if you don't put any time or effort into it, and you don't try more than just once, then you know you're going to get what you tried. Nothing.
Dock Tips with Steve Hayward.
Bailing buckets work great as long as you're there to use them. You know, the problem is when you're gone for extended periods of time, or you have a heavy rainstorm and you sit bolt upright in bed and go, the boat's going to sink. Well, today we're going to install an automatic bilge pump, and it's going to cure that problem for once and for all. These are the items you're going to need. I'm using a cordless drill with a hole saw. We're going to make a bracket out of a piece of aluminum tube, or you can use flat bar, and it's going to look something like this. We have the pump exit. We have a computerized, fully automatic bilge pump. Now what this does is it eliminates the need for a float. It's really neat. Silicone, solderless connectors, inline fuse, hose clamp, electrical tape, connector pliers, and the actual bilge pump pipe. Now when you're going to locate your bilge pump exit, you want it in a spot that's high in the boat so that siphoning cannot happen. And we've chosen right up here near the gunnel and the transom. We're going to use the hole saw. Now we're going to apply a bit of silicone on here. This is to keep it watertight and also to keep it tight. Now we've installed solderless connectors on the ends. Now these are going to go directly on the battery terminals. We've also installed an inline fuse, and it's held in place with a connector. Now with this connector we're going to reinforce it with some electrical tape just in case it ever comes in contact with water so that we don't get any electrolysis and corrode it off. The normal way to mount a bilge pump is through the screw holes on the bottom. Well, obviously that isn't going to work in an aluminum boat. We'd be drilling holes right into the lake, so we have to come up with something a little bit more original. What I like to use is a piece of aluminum tube, and you either squeeze it flat in a vise or hammer it, and then bend it like an L bracket and put a little bit of shape in this end. And then what we use is a hose clamp, and this goes right up like so, and it's held in place with a hose clamp. And this screws into one of the verticals in the back of the transom. And it's a really slick mounting system. I'll show you how that works. Now what we want to do is find a good spot to secure this pump so that it's in a low point in the boat near the transom, and also so that there's a good firm vertical mount that we can screw into. And that looks to be a pretty good spot. Now if we have any final adjustments to make, we can bend the bracket or we can move the pump inside the hose clamp before we secure it in position. That's good there. Next we connect the bilge pump pipe and we figure out a logical path for it to go and determine the correct length before we cut it and install. When you're doing any kind of work on your boat, take a little bit extra care and time and route things up out of harm's way. It just makes sure that the job's going to be a better one. And all it's left to do is just to tighten up the battery terminals with the wires on, positive to positive, negative to negative. And we want to make sure that the wires are routed in such a way that they're protected underneath the battery box. Well, as you can see, our bilge pump's working great. And it was a job that we did easily in 35-40 minutes. And you know, now we have the peace of mind of knowing that when we're not here, our boat's going to be floating. And you know what? If I could just remember to put the plug in, it'd probably be floating a whole lot sooner. Till next time, keep her off the docks.
Ski Tips with Angela Van Zandwick, brought to you by Connolly Water Skis and Wakeboards.
Now that you're up skiing, it's time to take it to a more advanced level, crossing the wakes. To cross the left wake, put pressure on your right ski, and to cross the right wake, put pressure on your left ski. Make sure that you have speed and your knees bent to ensure that you get across the wake. Once you're comfortable on two skis, you'll want to try one. The first step in slalom skiing is to determine what foot forward you are. That's not that difficult. Carefully lift one ski at a time, see which ski you have the best balance on. That'll be your front foot. Keep skiing, and I'll see you next time.
Honda builds only 4-stroke outboards. Honda has never marketed a 2-stroke outboard, and that makes Honda very unique to the industry. There's no other manufacturer that's building strictly 4-strokes. Honda's been building 4-stroke outboards for over 35 years now, And that in itself is quite unique, because the industry has not moved towards four-stroke outboards, but for the past few years, because of emission regulations and standards that are being set in the US, if it weren't for these types of standards, the rest of the industry would still be pushing two-stroke outboards. Well, there's a lack of awareness by consumers as to the effect of operating a two-stroke outboard as opposed to a four-stroke outboard. And two-stroke outboards, because of their inherent design, do not fully burn off the gas and the oils that are mixed in the carburetor and flow through the engine. In fact, in some cases, two-stroke engines will pollute as much as 40% of the fuel could be spewed back into your lakes and waterways. A four-stroke engine, because of its design with a valve system, really burns off the fuels much more efficiently. There's no mixing of gas and oil on a four-stroke engine. The oil sits in a sump very similar to your automobile. One of Mr. Honda's founding philosophies was to build a product that would exceed customer expectations. So all of the products are built to the absolute highest standards of fit, finish, quality, and reliability, whether it's an automobile, a motorcycle, an outboard. And in our surveys, our customer repurchase intent is the highest in the industry, and our competitors' products purchase intent for a Honda is actually highest in the industry. So Honda's made a lot of headway in creating awareness of Honda four-stroke outboards and the benefits of Honda four-stroke outboards. And I do believe that a lot of our consumers are very astute and to a very large degree are some of our absolute best salesmen. They can sell our products to just about anybody. In fact, at consumer shows, if you're talking to a prospect and a Honda customer happens to walk into the booth and start to talk about their products, you really have to back off and let them talk about it, because there's a very deep loyalty with Honda owners and Honda products. And it certainly has helped us to create a much stronger message out there about Honda products.
Off the Dock Adventures on TSN has been sponsored in part by Honda Generators, quiet, reliable, portable electric power. Air Chair, the sky's the limit. And Shorelander Trailers, because getting there is half the fun.